So we would like to tell you our engagement story because it's a very special story and kind of sets the tone about how we are with each other and how we are meant to be together.
So it was 2009. It was the year that I had first started my master's degree in Lethbridge, and we had planned to take a wonderful summer vacation. Life happened and we couldn't make it all the way through our vacation plans, and I was a little bit disappointed.
He was quite a bit disappointed, actually.
But Neil said, no, we'll still do something. Make sure you book these 3 or 4 days apart, and we'll go out of town for a day or two.
So I decided that our original trip was supposed to be booked for Vancouver Island, and Monty had his heart set on going to Vancouver Island and going to a certain spot in Vancouver Island. He had a little backpackers inn booked. So I went and took our air miles and booked us a mini version of his trip to the island without him knowing. So it was a surprise. I told him we were going to have these 3 days off and I'm going to take you on a special trip.
So he packed everything up for me, got our bags ready, got the van ready, loaded me into it. I had no idea where we were going, and we started driving down the highway. We started driving north, and I thought, well, this is fun. Maybe we're going to Edmonton or Red Deer or Leduc or somewhere exciting like that. Driving down left-hand side of the lane, all of a sudden, California style, from one side of the highway all the way to the other, turns off at the airport.
So I whisked him into the airport parking, the park and jet, and he was like, oh my goodness. And I didn't tell him where we were going. I said, I'm going to take you on a trip. And he was quite shocked that we were at the airport. So we get into the airport. I still haven't told him where we're going. My plan was I didn't want him to know where we were going until we got up to the terminal. And as we were coming up, a wonderful, very friendly WestJet employee came up to us and said, can I help you guys? Where are you going today? Let me help you get to the right spot. And I kind of looked at the person blankly, and then he said, where are you going so I can help you get to where you need to go? And I looked over at Monty and said, I'm taking you to Vancouver Island. And so the cat was out of the bag earlier than I expected, but nonetheless, it was still a good surprise.
So my heart quite literally stopped at this point, because I knew that we had been planning to go to Vancouver Island, and I knew that that's where our vacation was. And I was so incredibly disappointed that we didn't get to go. So finding out that I was able to go got to me on a few different levels.
Because, flashback a few years prior, our first big trip that we took together was to Vancouver Island. And Monty and I took a very special trip across the island to Tofino and found a beach called Tonquin Beach. That was our very first trip together, and it was very special, and we came upon this magical beach. It was unbelievable. We took this beautiful boardwalk all by ourselves, super secluded. We get out onto this beach, there's only like 1 or 2 other people there, and we spent the entire rest of the evening there. And so I said to Monty, I said to myself, next time I take Monty to this beach, I'm going to propose to him. And I kept that promise in my head, that if we ever came back here again, I would propose to him. So my whole idea of booking that trip was to propose to Monty.
I was heartbroken when Neil told me that we were going to Vancouver Island, because let me take you back a bit. We went on a fantastic trip in 2006. We went to Vancouver Island. We took a trip across the island to Tofino, found this beautiful little secluded place called Tonquin Beach. I told myself when I was on that beach that next time I go to that island, I was going to propose to Neil. That was part of my plan for our big summer trip. When it got canceled, my heart was broken. So when Neil told me that we were going to Victoria, I was crushed. What was I going to do? I had promised myself for years that next time we went to the island, I was going to propose.
I had everything ready. I already had a ring because, of course, I was the one that planned the trip, and I had everything ready to go. So I had rings for us, and I was ready to go.
I start scrambling. We took a diversion to
We got diverted in Kelowna. We were
Kelowna.
supposed to. We had a stopover in Kelowna that was unexpected, and we stopped in Kelowna for a bit, and I stuck to Monty like glue because I was super thrilled.
I was looking for even a cheap piece of tin that I could buy at the airport gift shop because I wanted to have a ring by the time we got to the island.
So we fly. Finally, we get to Vancouver Island and get to the airport, and all the shops and stuff are closed in the airport, which I didn't mind. I was ready to go.
I'm pulling my hair out at this point.
So we get to our little hostel that we had booked, and I'm so nervous because the next day we have to drive out to Tofino because we have to do it the second day in because it's a very long trip. So we're in these little tiny beds, and I can barely sleep. And
I slept on the floor, to be honest, right? I think that we were at some sort of a hostel and I ended up sleeping on the floor.
So the next day we wake up and it is really gross out. It's raining, it's terrible, but I'm like, okay, we have to do this. So I start driving, we start driving to Tofino, and it's pouring rain out, and the road to Tofino is very, very twisty and turny, and Monty starts getting sick.
In my whole life, I've never gotten car sick. It was a combination of the nerves and the slick roads and the driving, and couldn't handle it. We actually had to stop when we got to the end of the road, and I had to get out of the car for a few minutes.
So I'm stressed out because he's not feeling well, and I want him to be feeling well because I'm about to propose to him in a matter of hours. I'm going to be taking him to Tonquin Beach, so we're very stressed out at the time. But we do make it the whole entire way. Everything's fine. So we get into Tofino, and I decide we just need to take a few minutes. It's pouring rain out. Let's just give it a few minutes, see if it clears up. So we stop and we pull over on in a road where there's some shops and stuff.
Thank goodness. I think, okay, here's my opportunity, because up to this point, I've been scouring the parking lots to see if I could find a bent piece of wire that I could put around his finger to use as a ring. So we have a few minutes. I know that he stopped, he's pulled over. I run into a gift shop, $12.99. I spend on a tiny little piece of tin that I know at least will fit his finger.
So while he's in the gift shop, I went to the bathroom, but really I went into a store to get his ring ready out of the box to put in my pocket because our next stop was going to be Tonquin Beach.
We stopped at the boardwalk, and it was a little bit misty, a little bit rainy, so we actually bought some umbrellas. We bought multicolor, pride-colored umbrellas.
So we get these umbrellas and we go to the boardwalk to walk to the beach, and as we're walking through the bushes and trees, it literally starts to clear up. It's like the skies parted, it just stopped raining all of a sudden, it just cleared up. As we were walking out of the bushes, it just all of a sudden cleared. It was like the heavens opened up for us.
And I think this is just perfect. This $12.99 piece of tin, I'm not even worried about that. We're in a beautiful place. I'm with my beautiful baby. I know that it's going to be a perfect moment.
So, of course, I don't know that he's planning this. So there's a particular rock that when we were at the beach last time that we were there a few years prior, we spent a lot of time at, and it was this neat rock where the white waves hit it and created this neat splash, and that was the rock that I wanted to propose to him on. So we're wandering around the beach, and I'm trying to get us over to the rock, and finally I get over there, and it's beautiful. The sun's come out. The sun is just starting to set. The skies are golden, and I say to myself, this is the time. So Monty's sitting up against the rock, and I get down on one knee and start to propose to him, and as I start proposing to him, he gets down on one knee too. And I looked at him and I said, what are you doing? And he said, just continue. And so I continue with my whole speech that I had prepared, not knowing why is he down on the ground on one knee too? We're holding hands, we're both on one knee, and I finish with my proposal to him.
And I start my proposal, and I take a ring out of my pocket and repeat some of the very same words and the very same thoughts that Neal had shared with me, because we had both been thinking the same thing for the past 3, 4 years, almost since the time that we got together, that we knew that we were meant to be together, and we knew that this was the perfect place and the perfect time.
So we both proposed to each other on the same beach at the same time without each other knowing it. And honestly, neither of us knew that we were going to propose to each other that day. So that began our magical journey that has led us to where we are today. We truly, truly, truly are meant to be together. That was good, hey?